Thank you very much, and it's a real pleasure to be here today. So I was asked to talk about the successes and challenges of branding soft power, and I'm going to focus, as you might expect, on the successes that we've experienced in the UK, although maybe there'll be time as well to focus on some of the challenges in the Q&A afterwards. I'm going to do that by talking about our Principal Soft Power campaign, which I'm sure most of you will have seen and hopefully many of you are aware of, and this is called the Great Campaign. The campaign was designed originally to showcase the best of what the UK has to offer in order to encourage people to visit, study and do business with the UK. And it's our government's most ambitious international marketing campaign that we've ever run. Critically, and this is where I'll talk about it, it's succeeded in uniting the efforts of public and private sector. So referring back to the Ambassador's comments about the requirement for hard cash, this is something that I think we've done very effectively in terms of utilising that from beyond government resources. And as I'll show you, over the course of the 7 years that it's been running, it's delivered a highly visible, powerful campaign that's delivered tangible economic benefit for the UK. And I suppose that's really the first point that I want to leave you with, first the three key points. And that's that sometimes soft power is seen as somehow being a bit nebulous, a bit wishy-washy, hard to pin down. What we've found through the Great Campaign is that soft power can deliver very tangible, very quantifiable benefits. And so we were very pleased again to be the top-ranked country in terms of use of soft power in Portland's rankings. And I'll show in the next slide some of the economic benefits. So the campaign was launched in 2012. It was designed to coincide with the 2012 Olympics that were being held in London, and our ambition was to create a £1 billion boost for British businesses. It's massively exceeded our expectations. We've got a return on investment of 20 to 1. It's delivered £3.9 billion certified by our National Audit Office benefits to date. There's another £3.3 billion pounds worth of benefits to the UK currently being appraised, and 1.8 billion in the pipeline. We've recorded almost 20% of uplift in intentions to visit and study in the UK. From India, we've had 30% increases in international students over the last 2 years, for example. And we've been able to attribute a lot of that down to the success of the campaign. And it also has its own value as a brand. It's now valued at almost £300 million, and it's on track to become one of the 50 most valuable brands in the UK. Perhaps the most critical factor, and this is my second key point I want to leave you with, perhaps the most critical factor in making a success of the Great Campaign is that for the first time, we were able to unite all of government behind a single visual campaign with very clear, very strict branding. In the past, what we tried to do was individual ministries would run their own campaigns. Sometimes they'd have conflicting messages, sometimes even contradictory ones. With Great, all of government, 21 ministries united behind a single campaign. There's a single set of visuals. We use exactly the same images around the world, and it's that consistency that's really helped to increase the value of the brand and increase those intentions to visit, study, and do business with the UK. Next slide, sorry. So since its launch in 2012, it's grown enormously. We now run it in 144 countries worldwide. India is one of the countries we have a particular focus on. Last year, we ran over 1,000 great branded campaigns in over 200 locations. Last week, some of you may have been at the Future Tech Festival that we ran here in Delhi and in Mumbai, showcasing UK and India collaboration, which again was highlighting the way in which we're working. So how does the campaign work itself? So as I mentioned, this is about, sorry, next slide. This is about uniting the power of public, private, and voluntary sectors. So partnership is at the heart of our campaign. We have more than 600 businesses of all sizes and sectors have lent their support, given their time, given their energy, in some cases given cash and sometimes given resources. Here in Delhi, BP provided a billboard space for us to run campaigns outside Indira Gandhi International Airport. And you'll see that in terms of the companies like McLaren, and next slide, companies like Aston Martin, Mulberry, Burberry, as well as less well-known, less household name companies, but no less exciting ones like Framestore, who are Oscar and BAFTA-winning organisations. So we've got support from private business, we've got support from their Royal Highnesses. Next slide. We've got support as well, so Kate and Prince William and Princess Kate, who were here in 2016. They did a lot of great branded events as well. And all of the royal family have lent their support to it. It's also, in terms of ambassadors, we have over 300 high-profile people with a strong affinity for the UK, acting as brand ambassadors. That's astronaut Tim Peake. You'll also see actors, pop stars, celebrities, business people also supporting the campaign and giving their time and their own brand willingly to support it. So how do the campaigns themselves work? Well, most people we know either know the UK or they have a perception or preconception about what the UK is about, what it has to offer. We found a huge advantage when it comes to marketing ourselves. But it's also something that we're working to subvert a bit and update and challenge through the campaign. So I wonder, looking around the audience, I wonder what you think of when you think of the UK. For many people, we found initially that their images of the UK, while being very positive, were perhaps slightly dated. So people thought about iconic landmarks like the Houses of Parliament or the Tower of London. They thought of the Scottish Highlands or the rolling English countryside. Of World Heritage sites, we've got 31 of those. But they didn't think as much about modern Britain. So when they thought about London, they saw a red telephone box. They didn't see the Shard or the Gherkin. When they thought about artwork, they thought about the fantastic classical works of arts that we have in our galleries and museums, which are all free. But they didn't think about modern art like Banksy or the Angel of the North. And they didn't think about modern attractions like Harry Potter and the Warner Brothers studio tours and things like that. So what we've tried to do is to both showcase and build on the impressions that people have of the UK, but also, as I say, to kind of challenge and stretch some of those impressions so that people look beyond what they might immediately see as your national strengths. And that's really my third point. So we found that we need to utilise our assets, we need to build on them, we need to play to our strengths, and that's all informed by market research, by consumer research. But we also want to play with those. We want to stretch them. We want to challenge them. We want to give people a new and surprising experience of what the UK is all about. And let me give you a couple of examples of how that's worked and how the campaigns itself have evolved. So education. Before the Great Campaign, we had a campaign called Education UK. As I say, it wasn't as successful as it should have been, partly because it competed with a lot of other campaigns. So we replaced that. We introduced Knowledge is Great, Education is Great. It showcased what the UK has to offer to international students. We have 4 of the top 10 universities in the world. We have 8 of the top 20. And 12% of international students from around the world come to the UK. And the first images, the first campaign really built on that idea of UK academic excellence. So we showed images of Oxbridge colleges, like this one, and played to that idea of academic excellence. But it's evolved. Now, we know that students know about UK academic excellence, so what we're doing is trying to show what else a UK education offers you. So the latest edition of the campaign, this Discover You, talks to prospective students about the experience that they can get, the employability skills, and it starts with the student as being at the heart of it, and showcases what they can get out beyond just beyond academic qualifications in terms of the experience, the connections, the skills, the contacts that they will have in the UK. Similarly, on tourism, we started with a much kind of straighter image showcasing UK heritage or UK countryside. But again, we've updated that as the campaign's evolved. So we've moved from this Countryside is Great to a campaign called OMGB. Next slide. Which was supported again with social media development. It was supported by a strong social media campaign. And it challenged some of the stereotypes about the UK or the preconceptions that we know people held, and was more about you and your personal experience of the UK. So you'll see people featuring those campaigns. And then the latest iteration of the campaign, which launched this January, is called I Travel For. So it highlights fun, it highlights next slide adventure, Again, it's got, sorry, back one. So it's got people, again, at the heart of it, rather than just images of UK cultural institutions or countryside. And it tries to showcase what people might not know about the UK, so that nowhere in the UK is more than 2 hours' drive, for example, from the coast. So we've got 6,000 islands and over 12,000 kilometres of coastline to explore, so a lot of it plays on things like that. And it's working. So in the first 9 months of last year, we had a record number of visitors leaving London, Edinburgh, Cambridge and Oxford, which are the traditional places that international tourists visit. We had 16.5 million visitors leave London, which was a record number, up more than 3 percentage points on the previous years. And so the campaigns will continue to evolve in this way, responding, as I say, both to what people know and think about the UK and to continue to build on that and to stretch and challenge them. I'm conscious of time and limited time that we have to talk, so very briefly, as you'd expect, it's about delivering economic benefits as well as I say, some of the softer, less tangible ones. So we have a large investment campaign that runs internationally, particularly in trade fairs and also in ports, places of entry, so airports, both in the UK and outside it. And similarly, so this is the investment campaign, playing to the UK's status as the 5th largest economy in the world and the largest financial centre. And similarly, our trade campaign is an image in an airport, which encourages people to do business with the UK. I'll finish, I'm sorry, we make very good use of our iconic landmarks as well. So this was one example in terms of cultural, that's the headquarters of the London, Government of London offices in the UK. Tying in with the Shakespeare Festival that we were doing there, Shakespeare remains the best known Briton of all time. So again, we play to that and use his image and obviously his works as a big part of our campaign. Now, as I said, we use consistent branding all around the world. We have very tight guidelines. So you will see the same images with the script and the language change, obviously depending on the market that we're working in. But the images remain the same, the content remains the same, with one exception, and that's in India, because we recognise both the importance of the Indian market. We have a huge personal connection, a living bridge, as Prime Minister Modi called it, that runs between the UK and India. We have 8 direct flights from 8 airports a day to the UK. We have a diaspora of 1.5 million people in the UK. We have more parliamentarians of Indian origin, Indian heritage than from any other country. And so and that looks largely to the past, but looking forward as well, we see the living bridge as something that connects us and drives us forward. And a lot of that is about collaboration that happens between governments, but also between institutions, between businesses, between individuals. And so we have, uniquely in the world, a Great Britain campaign called Great for Collaboration, which runs in India. So these were the billboards that I mentioned. The space was donated by BP. This was a campaign that ran outside Delhi Airport. And you will see around the UK and around Indian cities posters like the ones on the next slide, promoting and trumpeting and heralding the fantastic collaboration that exists between the UK and India. And we really do see that relationship as a fantastic partnership. And this is one way in which our soft power, we're working together in soft power collaboration, as well as in many other forms of collaboration. So that's really where I want to leave my remarks today, other than just to reiterate. So for us, what we've found with this campaign is that it works because we've brought everyone together. So we've united all of our government efforts behind a single, coherent, consistent campaign. We've done that in a way that plays to our assets, to our strengths, to what people know about the UK, but also that continues to challenge people's expectations. And we've done that in a way that delivers hard economic, tangible benefits, as well as a positive impression about the UK. Thank you very much.